for coming, and we will have our president start the
Not pledge.
Mark. Pledge.
Tell everybody to take their cell phones off, not use the plates, not use the dishes,
Okay.
and then bring Mark out.
Yeah, we need to be respectful of the room because I have an event coming up, so try and keep the tables as nice as you can. We'll have to set up again afterwards for them. And Mark has our thought and pledge tonight.
Yes, thank you. Tonight's thought and pledge revolves around chances. This club we have here is an awesome club. It is rich in knowledge and offers a nurturing environment for people like myself who want to maybe just do a little more with their lives than they were previously doing. Think of our club like a mother bird, regurgitating up the essential vitamins and minerals that her young need to grow bigger and stronger. In just a couple days, I have the opportunity to take a chance to venture outside of my comfort zone and step outside of our CFF nest briefly and speak in front of a group of people larger in size than I have ever spoken before. Why am I doing this? Because I believe taking chances and stepping outside your comfort zone every now and then is vital in self-improvement, which is exactly the reason why, win or lose, baby Bert Lockery is spreading his wings and is going to fly this weekend. I encourage everyone here to take advantage of chances when they present themselves, especially if they put you outside of your comfort zone. Now, as no trip to the lectern will be complete for me without some sort of reference to monkeys or goats, I'm going to regurgitate this Indian proverb for you now. A man who misses a chance is like a monkey who misses his branch. Both have made a very big mistake. Now please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call to the lectern Mr. Jonathan Dunn.
Hey, Julian.
Jonathan Dunn, my favorite man. Yeah. How's everybody doing?
As Michann said, and Mark, thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm super excited. It's going to be very fun. We have no guests tonight, so we don't need to talk about why we're called the facilitators. Instead, I want to come in off something Mark said. We do have our conference this weekend. Both Mark and I are representing this club. For those of you that aren't going, that's okay. And if you're on the fence, we would love to have you. It's going to be very exciting, and we look forward to bringing back the trophies to this club. I at least believe Mark will. For myself, yet I'm not sure. So and Toni is organizing a banquet for us. So Toni, do you have anything that you need to talk about pertaining to the banquet?
No.
Any heads or anything that you need?
Nope.
Nope, good. Are there any announcements from the floor? Are we going to be able to just launch right into this thing tonight?
Gosh, it seems like there should be something.
Let me talk.
Okay.
Yay! Remember a few months ago I sent out an email, if you need any manuals, just let me know and I'm going to order for you.
Yeah.
And Gail did responded to my email, and I never got those manuals for you, of course, but I got this, competent communication and competent leader. So if you completed your manual, one or the other, and you need another one, please let me know. It is only $8 manual, and you write me a check, give me the money, I paid already for them. And we can continue with, our good work and keep track of our roles. Thank you.
Yeah, that did make me think of an announcement. If you're in a leadership role, get your manual to a leadership evaluator, which is basically anybody. I have plenty of room over at my chair if you need me to evaluate your role. Okay, good. It's time to launch into this meeting tonight then. In her first days of life, our Toastmaster does not remember a thing. But now, After 73 years of passionate practice with a persistent approach, she still doesn't remember everything. But even then, at the ripe old age of 73, she hasn't given up. In fact, if anything, with the birth of her grandchildren, Benjamin Thor and Skylar Luna, she has come to appreciate the 73 years of her passionate practice with a persistent approach to life. She thanks Toastmasters for being a tool to communicate and lead herself through the numerous discoveries of herself and life itself. If practice truly does make perfect, she declares she will one day master perfection. And until then, more practice with passionate persistence. Please give a very warm round of applause to our Toastmaster this evening, distinguished Toastmaster, Gail Hill Smith.
That was a twist of the tongue with the P's going. You did very well. You haven't had any wine tonight, I see.
0.
Well, good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Hey.
Whoa, that was passionate. Okay. Because we don't have any guests this evening, I can sort of skim through my role as Toastmaster, except I don't want to totally skim through it, because our new member, Steve and Michann, I don't believe either of you have been a Toastmaster, so I will briefly describe what we do. As you know, we change the roles every week, and the Toastmaster helps to coordinate the meeting, works with our Vice President of Education, and also works with the General Evaluator for the week to pull all the roles together. And then the Toastmaster prepares the agenda, prepares the theme, and carries it out. So there's more to it than just getting up here and leading the meeting. But that's part of the rhyme and reason with the leadership track for Toastmasters International, is to help you with your time management, to help you with your skill set for managing people, delegating. So when you guys feel comfortable, we're going to get you in this role. And we'll always pair you with an experienced general evaluator. All right. With passion this evening, or persistence, or just good old practice, we are going to have our functionaries tell us what they are going to do. But before that, let me tell you about these few changes on our agenda. Our second speaker is going to be Tim Micki. Tim is formulating his speech now, so I don't have an introduction from him.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, I do have an introduction, and I have one for Stephen, I see. All right, great. That is the only change because I think everybody else is here. So kudos, Toni Giddles, and for getting a complete agenda. All right, Grammarian, Mark Lockery.
Your wacky, wondrous, whimsical, wretched word of the day today is tenacious. It should be on every table with the description and some examples on how to use it. I will keep track of those who use the word of the day. Those who have a chance to speak and do not use the word of the day will be fined 25 cents. Guests and members who have not yet given their icebreaker, I don't think that applies to anybody here, will not be fined. I will also listen for colorful imagery and exceptional use of vocabulary and grammar. At the end of the meeting, I will report on grammar usage and suggest where I see improvements can be made. Madam Toastmaster.
And he will be tenacious on listening to that word. How about what our timer is going to be doing? Jorge!
the skills Toastmasters practice is expressing a thought within a specific time. As timer, I am responsible for monitoring time for each speaker and each meeting segment. I will tenaciously operate this timing machine, indicating each speaker's how long he or she has been speaking. For the prepared speeches, to qualify the vote, the voting speaker must speak no less than 30 seconds under the range minimum, no more than 30 seconds over the range maximum. I will turn the green light at a range minimum, yellow light at a mid-range, and red light at range maximum. For table topics, speakers to qualify, speaker must speak at least 1 minute, no more than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Green light at 1 minute, yellow light at 1 minute and 1 minute and a half, red light at 2 minutes. For evaluations, to qualify, evaluators must speak a minimum of 1 minute 30 seconds, a maximum of 3 minutes 30 seconds. Green light will be at 2 minutes, yellow light at 2.5 minutes, red light at 3 minutes. Madam Toastmaster.
Good catch there, Jorge. I was going to note that red light in the red light district. Our Wizard of Oz is a former president of the Central Florida Facilitators, so former that he still maintains his distinction as El Presidente. So, Julian Cotto.
I am a tenacious all-camera. The reason I'm a tenacious all-camera, it's because I feel I would be remiss in my duties, my responsibility, and the oath that I took as a Toastmaster if I didn't buzz you every time you had an awe, an audible paw, an awe, a crutch, a filler word like so, etc., etc. Being a father, I understand that immediate feedback is important. So when the child misbehaves, you whack immediately, and he knows why, what he did wrong. That's why I will be a tenacious all-counter this evening, not to embarrass anybody, but to make you the best you that you can be.
All right. Be all you can be, huh?
I'll be a little less tenacious at my job, but I'll still be tenacious in making sure that I'm correctly tallying the votes. As vote counter, I will pick up your ballots for best speaker, best table topic speaker, best evaluator, and most improved speaker. I will tally the results for award presentations, and at the end of the meeting, I will also pick up any comments that you might have written for the speakers or any meeting participant, and deliver the comments to the appropriate persons. And of course, I expect you to be pretty tenacious at evaluating them. Thank you, thank you, Madame Toastmaster.
Thank you, Functionaries. Appreciate that insight and what you are going to do to keep us on track so that we can implement the 4 Ps of tonight's theme. The 4 Ps, as you see on the agenda: passion, practice, persistence, and party. Woo! Woo is right. How in the world did we come up with this theme? And I say we because it was a collaborative effort. I mentioned earlier that the Toastmaster works closely with the general evaluator, also works with our Vice President of Education. Well, we collaborated and could not come up with a more appropriate alliteration of P's than this. But then, as Toastmasters, as creative Toastmasters, we decided to add the fourth P, the party. With that said, this meeting is a very typical Toastmaster meeting. We're going to have our formal speeches, our table topics, and our general evaluations. But the party is the fourth component, and our general evaluator will describe that component as we get closer. So get ready to find out more about the 4 Ps, and the fourth one particularly. In our prepared speeches, we have dubbed this the, oh, did I say 4 speeches?
I said I know what the 2 Ps are.
Oh, okay. In the prepared speeches, the passion. Well, when I was doing research, good old Google, I put in passion, practice, and persistence, and came up with numerous combinations. And in many fields, as it turns out, they use those exact 3 Ps. Writers use it. Sports people use it. Toastmasters use it. Because when you combine the passion and the practice and the persistence, this equates excellence. So in effect, tonight, we are celebrating some excellence. To demonstrate excellence in speaking, we have 2 speakers this evening. Our first speaker writes that he is quite known for his passion, practice, and persistence. In the 16 years of Toastmasters, Stephen has completed over, how many speech contests? Anybody besides Stephen and Susan? In 16 years, he has competed in over 150 speech contests. Yet he has never won a district championship. However, the closest he came was in 2011 when Stephen placed 2nd at the District 84 International Speech Contest. That was a good speech. It was a really good speech. So here's a question for you, he writes. Where does a good speech go when it's done? The answer, a good speech is never done. Here to reprise his winning speech, complete his 2nd storytelling manual, achieve his 4th Advanced Communicator Bronze, and earn his 5th Educational Award this term, help me welcome Advanced Toastmaster Gold, Stephen Morgan, with Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader?
The days were long, the future a mere fantasy, and there were games upon games left to be played. That endless summer would be the last lived entirely in the moment. It was the summer of 1981, summer of innocence. It was the summer before 5th grade. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, are you smarter than a 5th grader? Like me, did you yearn and fear the arrival of that golden envelope? You know, the one that would tell you who your teacher was going to be. Oh, I hope I get Mr. K. See, all the girls have a crush on him. All the guys want to be just like him. I mean, Mr. K isn't just cool. Being in Mr. K's class makes you cool. That summer ended when the envelope arrived. I got Mr. K! I got Mr. K! I got Mr. K! I'm cool. I'm cool. Mr. K was in his late 20s, lanky, glasses, and quite geeky, but very creative. He didn't just teach us about the Oregon Trail, he had us become the settlers in their Conestoga wagons crossing the plains. What did you learn about economics in 5th grade? Mr. K's students developed entire companies, complete with products, advertising, and a stock market. Mr. K even gave me private time on his own personal state-of-the-art Atari 800. That year, I learned to program in BASIC. I was in nerdvana. Alas, all is not perfect in paradise. Mr. K had a temper. And when he got upset, we had to miss recess to write essays. And if a particular activity did not go as planned, well, stop! If all you want to do is just run around and after all the work that I've done, fine, you can just sit there and be quiet until you are, oh, you think that's funny, do you? Fine, you can go stand outside until you're ready to take this seriously. Go on, move it, I say go! But it wasn't a table and books that he knocked over. It was me. In full view of the whole class, Mr. K pushed me over desks and chairs to the floor. I hadn't even been laughing. Are you smarter than a 5th grader? What would you have done? Who would you have told? I didn't tell anyone. None of the other kids told anyone. Who would I tell? What if they told me I deserved that? Or worse, what if they believed me? And Mr. K lost his job. Heck, he could have gone to jail. I would have been a pariah. The crybaby who drove away everyone's favorite teacher and ruined 5th grade for everyone. What would you have done? The next morning, Mr. K got up in front of the class and he said, my behavior yesterday was unacceptable. I was angry, but I shouldn't have lost my temper. I was wrong, and I apologize to all of you, and most especially to Stephen. An apology is what I got. Was it enough? Was I naive to forgive? I was only in 5th grade. Today, I have a master's in computer engineering, in part due to Mr. K. Because of Mr. K, I am an expert software engineer. Because of Mr. K, this still haunts me. If I had just spoken up then, if I had said something, I could have gotten what I deserved. I could have had justice! Years later, Mr. K dealt with his anger with a bullet. If I had spoken up then, I could have been responsible for that. Fellow Toastmasters, could you live with that guilt? Or could you live with that apology? Honestly, are you smarter than a 5th grader?
Okay, all right.
Thank you,
Steve, you gonna
Steve.
record what you do?
Yep. And if our timer will, give us a minute on the clock, we'll allow everybody to write some messages, some inputs, some feedback for Stephen, in addition to the verbal evaluation that he will receive for his speech in a few minutes. It's, you don't want to use hand, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do? You need the books too?
I need a volunteer.
Your evaluator? Oh, no.
Oh, and I can't do that. You're gonna get applause. I see that. I'm here more often than you are. What's going on?
1 minute.
Thank you. To continue in the passion aspect of our theme this evening, our second speaker writes that he is stepping up and has an important message. In the past 8 weeks, he has lost 20 pounds with a well-balanced organic plan. Help welcome Tim Micki, author, speaker, and coach.
America, we're in trouble. But our kids and our grandkids are even in more trouble. The way we eat in this country is an absolute disaster. Genetically modified organisms, GMOs. Monsanto is the biggie in this one that produces most of it. You cannot buy GMOs in Europe or England. Why? Think about this. If we are what we eat, what is going to happen to us if we continue to eat products that have been modified organically? Can you imagine? What are we going to look like? We look like something from Mars that is an assumption in our mind. So where does it all begin? If you take a mouse and put them under a glass dome and leave them there for any length of time, what will eventually happen to that mouse? Suffocate. But if you take a little plant, a little green mint plant, and put it in there, it will sustain because the exchange of oxygen and, I forgot.
Carbon dioxide.
Thank you. Carbon dioxide will keep them alive. And what is basically the point here is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll comes from green foods. How many of us eat a salad and fruits every single day? Good. Yeah, good. Well, I'm in the wrong room. And the point is we just don't do it. And what we do get, if we're not careful, is the modified food. So the best thing to do is go a place where you can get food that has not been that and is guaranteed to be organic, certified organic. Costco has it, quite a bit of it, as a matter of fact. I even got pasta made from black beans, 100% organic, 97% organic, the other 3% is water. It's got to be some moisture in that. And you put your organic sauce on it, and you're not going to taste the difference. It's going to be black or dark brown, but it's going to taste good. So there's an idea where you can begin to get those foods. I want to tell you the story of how I got into this, because I'm tenacious about this now. 2 months ago, I was working over in Sarasota, helping a company organize some things in Costco to do presentation and gather leads. They didn't know how to do it, so I was developing a program for them. And as I was going through this and recording these steps, this guy comes by with a cart full of vegetables. And I said, hey, I bet you're a vegetarian. And he said, well, as a matter of fact, I am. And I said, well, how's that working for you? He said, well, I lost 60 pounds in the last year. I said, come on back here, I want to talk to you. I said, tell me about it. He said, well, I got a book called Eat to Live. And the introduction in the book is by Dr. Oz.
which I didn't know at the time I talked to him because I bought it that night and downloaded it on my tablet. And he talks about eating fruits and vegetables, even if you can't eat organically, if your diet is made up of mostly fruits and vegetables, and if you're wondering about protein, there's 11 grams of protein in a cup of broccoli. So it's there, or you have black beans, or you can use some of that white stuff they make from milk. I don't care about that, but you can use many things to have a diet that's efficient in that. So I started in that in like 2 days. And on the second day in, I had lost a couple of pounds. Then some friends approached me about a company that was making a product, all organic products, certified, and the author of that first book was the guy that founded the company. So that kind of surprised me. So I got involved in that, about some products, and the rest of the weight just keeps coming off very easy, very naturally. So now I'm eating very naturally in a nice way. But there's something else I've done for, this is my 11th year of doing this. Yeah, 11 years I've been doing this. Toni, would you come up here for me? There's a form of exercise that I do. Tomorrow's my day to do it. It'll be 20 minutes just on the other side over here. We're going to make you disappear. I do this for 20 minutes once a week. That's it, okay? If you're a little younger than me, and that means, well, everybody in here, you can do it twice a week. But just to show you, super slow works on a very high intensity on machines, but slowly. And I'll give you an example of how it's done, then we'll experiment with you here a little bit. You get on the machine, say that you've seen the one where you push down the pads to pull your abs in, or you can do it with the handles. Okay, in my case, I'm in a gym down here. I use the handles, but I do it very, very slowly. But a couple things come into play. One, you do it for 90 seconds or better, because at 90 seconds you start to burn fat, one. Two is you must have your posture right, because if you get that, you mess something up. And three, the way you breathe. You go through the whole thing, and the closer you get to the intensity of stopping, you go because you're constantly exchanging. You don't want to get into the point where you go, ugh! That's when you hurt yourself, or if you move too fast. So let me show you an example of how this works. To give you an idea, come on over here, Toni. Give her a round of applause. Just take these books, and if you're in a gym and that's a barbell, show me how you lift it. Just go ahead. Okay, these are weights. Show me how you lift them. And go on. We'll tap them up and down until you're tired, until you reach a point where you're tired.
Why would I lift them?
Yeah, just lift them as if they're weights. Just do that a few times, just as you would do in a gym. And just tell me when you get a little bit tired. And when she does that, I will show you something a little different about it that makes all the difference in the world why it works.
Okay,
I'm
tired.
Okay, all right, now I'll shake your arms out a little bit. We're going to do it again, but this time, hold them right here. We're going to count to 8 as we do this.
Okay.
And when you get a little tired from that, let me know, okay?
Okay.
Ready? 1, bring them up. Following him, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now backwards, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Get tired?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh.
The point is, when the intensity is that strong, it really burns. And I don't mean pain, it's burning fat. When I went in for a bypass, 2001, I hadn't done it. I had one pain pill when I got out of the hospital. And it took me about 2 months to get going. 5 years later, they go back, there's a crimp in the artery, but they had to split the chest open again. No pain pills, and I was out with my friends 11 days later. That's the difference something like this can make. So, to sum it up, please try and get yourself clean, eating organically, and do some form of exercise.
Thank you, Tim. Now, would you agree that they were filled with passion? We have a minute on the clock as you write some comments for Tim. And in the research I told you I was doing on the passion, the practice, and the persistence, they are so close in their meanings. However, there are some distinguishing aspects. You witnessed with our two speakers. Their intense emotion, their intense
Are you doing a minute?
enthusiasm. Pardon me?
Are we doing a minute?
You are. And I'm talking during that.
She's being persistent.
Yes. Tenacious on top of that.
Being tenacious, write that down.
An outburst of energy, which you didn't see, at least tonight, as was defined in the dictionary. Passion is a strong sexual desire. So keep that in mind.
Is it like driving a car?
Might be.
1 minute.
Great, thank you. The second aspect of our meeting tonight,
Time to report.
after the timer's report.
Our first speaker, Stephen Morgan, required time was 5 to 7 minutes. He spoke for 6 minutes, 46 seconds. He qualifies. Mr. Micki was required to speak 5 to 7. He spoke for 7 minutes, 25 seconds. He qualifies.
All right, good. So both qualify, cast your vote, and Steve will come around and collect that vote and any comments in just a moment. While you are doing that, the second part follows practice. And practice, the experts say, practice is not work performed in public. Well, in Toastmasters, I'm sorry, but practice is performed in public in Toastmasters. Every week we participate, we are practicing on something. We're rehearsing all the time. And in my introduction this afternoon, you heard that I'm a proud grandmother. I am called Namaw because they can't pronounce grandma. And I don't look like a grandma. I look like a Namaw. But the tenacity that my 2-year-old grandson demonstrated also demonstrates practice. Just imagine, those of you who have had children, you've got this toddler who barely is able to sit. So this toddler is basically wobbling on the floor. In the case of my grandson, he always had to have something in both hands. In this case, a bottle and a ball. And he calls it Baba. And he would throw the Baba. He was aiming at me, the little catch, but the Baba would maybe go this way, or maybe go this way, or maybe go that way. But through persistence and practice, his Baba finally came to Namaw. That's what we find here in Toastmasters. And Table Topics is the perfect format for practicing, whether it's our leadership or our communication. Don't ever give in, don't ever give up, don't ever stop trying, don't ever sell out. And if you find yourself succumbing to one of the above for a brief moment, pick yourself up, brush yourself off, whisper a prayer, and start where you left off. But never, ever, ever give up. Rochelle Goodrich, The Tempter's Snare. This is exactly what our table topic master tonight, Micki, has been doing for her entire life. She has been both a tenacious fighter and a tenacious optimist, and has learned along the way that there is a good outcome, even a partial hidden one, in anything that happens to us. She says, live with passion, follow your dreams with persistence, and practice Toastmasters. Welcome, Micki D.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. First of all, I have to tell you that I am our president's nightmare. because I always forget to circulate the schedule for next week. So before I forget again, please sign up for a role and pass it along. Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to tell you how tenacious I am. I keep crying in my emails that we keep skipping the educational moment. And I really want us to have an educational moment every single meeting. Because we have so much to learn. And believe me, I don't know. I learn together with you. And because I don't want, what I like to talk to you about tonight is DCP. What's that? I have the definition here, but I don't want to read it just because reading is so fake. So if I'm not able to give a very good definition, very concrete and very clear, I'm going to ask for your help. Between Toni, Stephen, and Gail, who would like to tell us what DCP is?
You want to get, you go for it.
Go for it, Micki.
Police Department in Washington, D.C.
That's good.
Okay. DCP, Distinguished Club Program, is an annual program running from July 1st through June 30th. The program consists of 10 goals your club should strive to achieve using the club success plan. At year end, the number of goals the club achieved is calculated. Based on this and the number of members it has, the club may be recognized as a distinguished, select distinguished, or president's distinguished club. We've been a club for 10 years, 11 years now. We earned the president's distinguished club every single year. That good we are. And I would like to keep it this way, especially under my watch and the VPE. Now, I would like to share some information with you, and I didn't kill that many trees this time, but this is very important. This is our very long.
Very well.
Yes. This is the distinguished program. And this is the status where we are with our goals. We completed some. We have a few more to complete to reach the President Distinguished Level Award. And if you look on the back of the sheet, you'll see our progress and you'll see how many projects we need to complete in order to achieve the goals. This is what I've been doing. This is how I keep track of your progress. And that's why I insist that you use your manuals and the records are updated in Easy Speak because it's easier for me and for us to know what's going on. I keep printing some information. This is information for me, but I would like to give just a copy to each table to see how it looks like. Because if you have a copy of your records, then you'll know exactly where you are with this. We have leadership progress and communication progress, one copy per table. And I'm willing to email you very often your report, your status with your work. It gives you a better idea where you are. It helps me to keep track of your progress. I'm not going to print out more copies, I'm just going to email them to you if you are interested. I also have, only for the new members, unless of course you'd like to see this. What manuals you can complete in order to move to the next level. So from the bottom up, you know that you need to complete a competent communicator in order to be able to work on your advanced communicator bronze. On the other hand, you need to complete your competent leader in order to work toward your advanced leader bronze. So this is very useful information, and I didn't have the information a few years ago, so I was totally confused. I'm still a little bit confused, but working on it, and I like every single meeting to share my findings with you. Oh, and this is the educational moment. Now, I would like to move forward to our segment, Table Topics. And I'm going to read you a very good thought by Kelvin Coolidge. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelict. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. The slogan, "Press on," has solved and always will solve the problems of the human race. What questions do I have for you tonight? Because this theme is very close to my heart. I would like us to share experiences, to talk about people that inspired us through persistence or passion, that were role models for us. And I'm going to give you an example. I was in mid-school, and we had a professor, literature professor, that was very, very demanding. Students were afraid of him, and they did their best to not be picked up, to answer questions or be in front of the classroom. He never gave an A grade, only B. And students were thinking that he was a mean teacher. But one day he said, and I cannot forget the look in his eyes, because his words came from his heart. I am being demanding with you now because I'm trying to prepare you for life. I give you a B now because I'd like you to get an A in the high school and then in the college. And that was his passion towards us, his students, that I appreciated very much, and I still remember after 30 years. Now, who would like to tell us about a person that inspired him or her very much? Maybe Julian can give us an answer?
Maybe,
Maybe.
maybe not. Anybody that overcomes significant challenges in life to achieve success in whatever they decide to do inspires me. I remember seeing on television this Mexican guy playing the guitar with his feet because he had no arms. I mean, he played the guitar better than I could ever play the guitar. And I've got 2 arms and a decent ear for music. And people like that inspire me. People that come to this country and come from a country where the language, think about folks that come from Iran. I was a student aide when I was in college. And in engineering back then, we used to have to letter. So I got on one of the guys, you know, about his lettering and stuff like that. He said, Julian, he was a more mature guy. He was an older guy. And he says, this is our language. I mean, all the scribbly stuff. And they read from left to right, not from right to left. I mean, it's totally our opposite. And, you know, for a person like that to come to the United States, go to school, learn the language, that's not, our alphabet is like, you know, it's like Greek. I mean, it's literally, they come from a Greek alphabet to learn our alphabet, our language, and still succeed and not give up. That, the common person that achieves that, really inspires me. Kind of
Thank you. Now, Michann, do you have a model, a person that inspired you in your life through passion and perseverance and hard work?
I have 2 people that have inspired me the most, and the first is my mom. She came here a couple weeks ago. She inspires me because she's gone through so many hard things, but she finds a way to stay optimistic. She's also very educated, and she's recently been going through a divorce, and she decided to go back to school. She's about 50, so that's a pretty big undertaking at that age, and she'll call me and tell me, I just got 105% on my test. I'm like, Mom, how do you get 105%? She's like, I got all the extra credit. So she's just such an overachiever, and it's a great person to try and measure up against, because that's a pretty high level to be able to match up 105. And she's like that with everything. She just always does her best and is a great role model. And the second is my boss, because he has such high expectations along the same lines. And one of the greatest lessons that I've learned from him is that nothing is impossible. The most impossible task can be achieved, and I think that that's the case even if it hasn't been done before. I think that just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means that you need to figure out the way to do it. That's been a really big lesson that I've learned in my life. And I would say that those are definitely my 2 top role models. So thank you.
Thank you. There are a lot of members in this club that inspire me, and one of them that I chose to talk about tonight is my mentor, Toni. She's not very skilled and very experienced with public speaking, but she's so dedicated, and she puts so much work in organizing meetings, in being a mentor to several new members. And one day she told me that she worked to prepare the meeting until 4 o'clock in the morning, which scared me, because I was hoping that in time, when I will be more experienced, I will not have to work hard to prepare for meetings. So if she has to spend so much time, to put so much effort in preparing a meeting, that's bad news for me.
No, my IQ is well below Stephen's, so.
I don't think so.
You need to find out her normal bedtime before worrying at 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's true. Good point.
Now, would you like to tell us about the person that inspires you in your life or inspired you in any way?
one individual person. I guess since this is the same question as the last two, I've had time to think about it at least. One of the things that kind of impressed me, though, is I'm a triathlete, and one of the places that I go to is a club called Lucky Swim. And that is actually a person who doesn't inspire me, John Michann. He opens his house up to the whole community 6 days a week. Mostly Saturday mornings is the big time that everybody shows up. But 6 days a week, he opens his house up to everybody to do a lake swim. And he also throws parties. He does world record attempts. He had the largest yo-yo. He also volunteers for a bunch of causes, mostly the Special Olympics. But one event I remember in particular that he did, which was really fun, was for the Special Olympics, was a Hands Across Lake Cane, where he organized a lot of people to get into a lake that was about 1 kilometer long and hold hands together and form the largest human chain across the lake. He's also found other accomplishments. Some of the other accomplishments, I'm blacking out on it, so my apologies. He's gotten the club into one of the 100 best swims ranked for the nation. And I only know the tip of the icebergs. What this guy inspires me to do, though, is to become a better athlete than the athlete that I am. And what I neglected to speak in my, I forgot the word today, my tenacity was the Ironman competition, which is not one major event, but 3 major events: a long swim, a 112-mile bike ride, followed by a marathon, all done back to back. And I met a bunch of older ladies, probably in their 60s and 70s, that were able to do full Ironman when I have trouble doing just one of these events. So I'd like to thank you, Madame Toastmaster.
As you know, Toni is our general evaluator tonight, and what she's going to comment on is going to be me speaking too much as the table topics master. Instead of, I'm sure, instead of asking you questions. So I'm going to call back to the lectern our Toastmaster tonight, Gail S.
Persistence. You probably noted I've been a little hobbly tonight. FYI, I tore my left Achilles, and
Oh my gosh.
in the healing process, the blood flow for some reason did not filter through the Achilles, and I actually have a calcified knot. So it has definitely tempered my activity, as passionate as I am. That aside, table topics, Micki, thank you so much. You gave us some inspirational thoughts on who really inspired us. And over the years, for me, it is so difficult to just name one. But with our evaluations, as our next portion, after our timers report, I am forgetting that whole thing this evening. Our timers report, Jorge, can you tell us?
We have Julian. He spoke about the people that inspired him, especially the guitar player. I can relate to that. For 2 minutes and 20 seconds, he qualifies. Michann A, inspired by her mom and her boss. She spoke for 1 minute, 29 seconds. She qualifies. Stephen Block, he spoke about John Michann about all his accomplishments and sports and fun activities. He spoke for 2 minutes and 26 seconds, and he also qualifies.
Oh.
Kind of close.
Okay, as you cast your vote, Steve will come around and collect that, as well as other comments that you may have from our speakers, and for our Toastmaster, and eventually our general evaluator. Okay, now we are into the third portion, the very educational portion. But in this case, tonight, it's the persistence. Again, in my research of persistence, and I think anybody who becomes a Toastmaster is a true testimony of persistence. Supposedly, as communicators, persistence is the most important quality that we can own. And why is that? Persistence, they indicate, is far more important than our talent and our native ability, our natural ability. By being persistent in improving what we are passionate about. Our evaluations this evening help us do that very thing. Our general evaluator, Toni Gittles, has been in the Central Florida Facilitators since 2005? 2004. Almost a charter member, but not quite. During that time, I know, like Micki expressed, I too have been very inspired by her leadership, but more importantly by her friendship. There's not many Toastmasters that I have been able to have a friendship relationship extend outside the club, but Toni is one of them. She has been persistent, though, in allowing me to do that. We can call one another and at a moment's notice, many times not, but many times so. We can just get together and discuss. And one of those moments was just last week after the meeting. She says, Gail, let's talk about this week's meeting. I said, sure. We went across the street.
I think I mentioned wine.
Wine.
Darn, I missed that one.
But Toni represents to me the true epitome of a very passionate and persistent practice Toastmaster. So please help me welcome Toni Gittles, DTM.
We're still planning the meeting. Yep. Yep. All right, got it. Ooh, oh no. Oh, it got there. I got it. In this segment of the meeting, we'll hear from our two evaluators for the two individuals that gave speeches this evening. We will also vote on the best evaluator. We'll hear our functionary reports, which I'm very much looking forward to based on how they opened the meeting for us. And I'll provide a general evaluation of our meeting and possibly a surprise. A reminder to the evaluators and for our new members who have not evaluated yet, an evaluation is the evaluator's opinion of the speech. And their comments incorporate questions specifically related to the purpose of the project most of the time. They are comments based on the evaluator's personal experience, impressions, knowledge, and opinions about what they think makes an effective speech. Although the evaluator is specifically commenting on a specific speech, there will be tips in there that we can all use for our speeches in the future. One of the things that I'd like to do this evening that is a little different, I'm going to ask all of the members to participate in the evaluation process because we have some extra time. So I would like you all to listen as an evaluator of the evaluator. I know John would appreciate some comments, and I think Susan would as well. So we can do this verbally after the evaluation, or you can write some notes to the evaluator on how effective they were or how they can be more effective. Oops, who's off? So, and that will train us all to be better evaluators, and it will help our new individuals, our new members who have not evaluated yet. Our first evaluator writes, passion, patience, and persistence. Ah,
Said,
the power of three in play, and three things our next evaluator holds near and dear to his heart. Passion, many think this is 50 Shades of Grey. But our evaluator knows it means to be willing to suffer for what you truly love. Practice, where theory becomes real. And persistence. It doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, as long as you are willing to get up just one more time. Here to engage in evaluation, which he is very passionate about, and to practice for the district championship, as he is going there this weekend to represent our club. As he was persistent and made it to the finals, after many misses, is our very own president, John Dunn.
Are you, fellow Toastmasters, gosh, I was about ready to throw the guest thing in, but especially you, Stephen, smarter than a fifth grader? I don't know whether or not I'm smarter than a fifth grader, but Stephen, I know without a doubt, using this tenacious 2-minute drill, we can take a speech that I know is absolutely near and dear to your heart, and to take it to possibly new levels of greatness. We're going to do that. We're going to look at your structure. We're going to look at your content. And we're going to take a look at your delivery and play some what-ifs. You started out painting us really a beautiful fairy tale. It reminded me of when I was a child and my mom was telling me a story. Lots of imagery. It was a long summer, songs to be played. It was really great, and as a listener, it made my walls come down. And even though I've heard that speech before, I felt myself very engaged. Stephen, in the content of his speech, used my favorite technique. He told a story that happened to him. His emotion was raw, his emotion was real, and it made us follow each and every second. And then Stephen used another amazing technique as he closed his speech down. He must have used the word "you" 3 or 4 times. His speech, and I've seen it before, felt incredibly intimate with me. I felt like you were talking to me. I felt myself getting very sad and introspective. I don't know whether or not this is going to make your speech better, and you taught me this technique, Stephen. Let's play what if. Possibly just some theatrical choices to make you fall in love with your material all over again. Maybe starting with, it was my last summer of innocence. Pause. I had just received a golden envelope. That was going to change my life forever. Not saying it's better, but just simply a what if. The content. He had an awesome soundbite statement. I'll remember it for the rest of my life. I don't know whether or not it's a real word, but nerdvana. It was fantastic. It really captured the essence of really where you would head in your life. Stephen's speech had one of Steve Jobs' most favorite techniques. He had a hero and he had a villain. And really in both cases, the hero was the villain. The one thing in your content that I saw that maybe could have been better when the situation happened, I think maybe you could have painted it a little more, but it was a really great job. Stephen's delivery, his attire, it totally led into the eras of the speech. It's the credibility, that's what I mean. The part where he paused and used the book and said he got knocked over, he had one of the most awesome dramatical pauses I've ever seen. And I felt your pain. one little bit that maybe could have been better. When you started out with the situation, I would have rated your anger level and being like really connected to the emotion of that day at like a 3. And by the time you got to the end, it was a 10. I felt exactly what you felt that day. As we close this down, all I know is this. I'm glad for what happened to you, because undoubtedly it's what led you to this club. And Stephen, you may not know it, but you inspire me. Madam General.
Thank you, Jonathan. Is there anyone that would like to comment on his evaluation? What you thought was effective, what you thought was helpful to the speaker, what you learned that perhaps you didn't know, and perhaps what did not need to be said? Mark.
I just wanted to point out something that I find interesting, and I like when Jonathan does evaluations, is he always makes it personal by expressing some of the stuff that had been spoken by the speaker. And it really makes a one-on-one connection, and it really makes me think that the evaluation is personal and coming from his heart. I notice that every time he does an evaluation, and I want to say I like it. So.
Great, thank you. Gail?
I just started to write this. You are an experienced evaluator. You give excellent evaluations. One thing just to keep in your mind for the contest particularly, we don't need, as an audience, we don't really need to know what you prefaced and lost some valuable time for your evaluation in the very, very beginning, and I know you know that. However, as was just mentioned, you have such a gift for being able to tie in the theme so succinctly, and your elevation, your words of elevation for that speaker are truly immaculate. I mean, I would follow you in a heartbeat, and even if you had just taken a chainsaw and cut my knees off.
Thanks, Gail. Great, thank you.
And it's not so much about your evaluation ability, but I was watching a movie about voiceover. It was about 3 people that were competing for doing voiceovers for, like, you know, the movie that does the trailers and things like that. And Jonathan has such a deep, resounding voice. When you first started, and you've really honed that, because when you first started in Toastmasters, it was so powerful that it was just way too much. But you have really taken that voice and crafted it where you just have a beautiful, deep, resounding voice that I am. After that movie, I've actually started doing research on voice and how to get my voice to be a little bit deeper and more resounding. And I wish I could trade chest cavity. But I just want you to know that I believe that's part of what makes your delivery powerful. Because that's what makes a voiceover artist what they are. And all you hear is their voice. You don't see them, and yet look how effective they are. And they get paid tons of money to do it, right?
Thank you.
You know, I admire you very much. As a speaker, as the president of the club, you know, the whole thing. And I'm not very good with evaluations. So I'm going to tell you my feeling when you give an evaluation. I feel like 3 minutes is not enough for your evaluation. You put a lot of soul in it, a lot of passion, but I'd like to hear more about the structure of the speech and the delivery of the speech. And it's like, you know, okay, what more can you tell me about this speech? Not about your feelings necessarily, but about techniques, structure techniques, stuff like that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have one comment for you, and maybe those of you who have been around who have witnessed Jessica do her evaluation can tell me if I'm on track or not. One of the things that I learned from Jessica is that you don't necessarily need to be overly dramatic, and you don't want to be more of a performer than the speaker is. Now, I don't think you did that, but what I remember about Jessica's evaluations was that she had some vocal variety, but she just spoke them, and she got right to the point, and she gave us the content, and she had some clever language that tied it together. I'm a little worried, though, about your performance, your performing ability, because it's fun and you're good. I'm not sure how the judges view that. I think a little bit is good. And if you don't finish on time, I am going to get that saw and hack you off with both knees. All right. Thank you all. I hope that was helpful to everybody. And Susan, if you'd like to hear some comments, we'll do that for you as well. Also, if you didn't get a chance to speak and there's something you'd like to tell Jonathan, please write it down or see him after the meeting. Our next evaluator had been a member of Toastmasters for 9 years. During this time, she has received evaluations and given only a few evaluations. Giving evaluations were always the most difficult part of Toastmasters. For our evaluator tonight, she is still learning, as we all are. She knows that it takes passion, practice, and persistence to improve. She's practicing her evaluation skills tonight. Please help me welcome the persistent, distinguished Toastmaster, Susan Morgan, evaluating the
fellow Toastmasters and Tim, of course. What a wonderful job you've done this evening. Coming in, walking in the door, and having Gail say, "Can you speak tonight?" First off, that's the best thing you did tonight. But Toastmasters, we're in trouble because Tim's talking to us about our intake of food, and especially where we should be watching our fruits and vegetables the most. I loved that you used the rule of 3. I noticed it in several places in your speech, especially when you were talking about the exercising. That was one place where I thought you had done really well with that. You had really great gestures. But to lead into the things that I think that you could do better is they could have been bigger and more exaggerated, which of course with more preparation, I think you would have that.
I'll watch the video.
You'll watch the video, that's right. You told us that the person in the grocery store that you met that told you about the book and everything had lost 60 pounds by eating fruits and vegetables. Now, I know that you had told us how much you lost maybe in your intro, but I think that would be a good place to say, now, I lost this much after I talked to him. That might be an area where
It was on my notes, I forgot to use it.
that might be a good area as far as organization is concerned. And like I said, your organization was very well done, considering especially that you came in here not even expecting to speak tonight. Although I could think that maybe, I know how passionate you are about this, and since we're a passionate meeting tonight, I think you could have even had more passion for it, and you would have been great. Some of the things that I thought you did great, one of the best things, in my opinion, is you told us about GMOs. And then you told us what GMO stood for, because you know what? I didn't really know. I've been hearing this all forever, but it's like GMO, okay, those are bad things. But what is it? And you gave us a definition of that and made us really want to know about that more, and we can do that. You also told us a lot about where we could get, you said we could go to Costco and get organic things. And as far as where we could go to do that, I thought that was really a good thing for you to be able to do. And you were extremely tenacious in all your work here, and I can't wait to hear you speak again. Madam General Manager. Before we get a timer's report, I would like to hear some comments for Susan. As you heard from her introduction, she is still afraid of evaluations. They make her nervous. They make a lot of us nervous because we want to do the best possible job to support our members. Who would like to comment on Susan's evaluation? Give her some positive feedback. Gail.
Because I too have seen Susan's growth as a Toastmaster. And when, as she says, she came being pulled and dragged into joining Toastmasters, this woman has excelled so well. And I'm glad you are continuing to be afraid of evaluations. And I hope you're afraid of speeches. And I still hope you get your tummy rumbling with table topics. Because to me, that is a sign of wanting to grow and wanting to continue to improve yourself. And as mentioned, these evaluations are really intended for the recipient, which is all of us. But it also is an opportunity for you to grow more comfort in your skin. Tonight, I think, was one of your better evaluations. Your choice of words was much more streamlined. Often you're looking for your words, you're groping for the words, but tonight you seem to, and looking at your notes, you were very polished this evening. I'm very, very proud of you tonight. Thank you.
Comments? Julian? You're one of our extreme. No? You can write something down?
Yeah.
Did you get something out of it?
I have a comment, Susan. You had a really bubbly, smiley personality tonight, and I love that because you didn't seem frightened. Keep a bottle of wine with you at all times. But you didn't seem nervous. You seemed like you were prepared and you knew what to do. And to me, that's the hardest part. I can think of a lot of things to say, but organizing it and getting it down on paper in an order that makes sense and then coming up with the language, that I struggle with that. And I need all the time between table topics and when I hear the speech to do that. And you know, some people in here are quicker. They can put together that evaluation and they know where they're going. So that's one thing I'm working on. But I thought you were quite prepared. It's fun to see you enjoying yourself. If it's the wine, fine. I don't think it's all the wine. So have fun, to everybody. If it is a challenge to be here. There are certain things that challenge you more than others, but we are trying to make it a fun environment and therefore easier for you to push through whatever fear you have. So I hope we did that for you tonight, Susan. And if any of you have any more comments for Susan, please let her know after the meeting or send her a note. I know she'll appreciate it. Okay, timers report for our evaluators, and then we'll vote on
Thank you, Evaluator.
or not.
Jonathan Dunn, evaluating Stephen Morgan. He spoke for 3 minutes, 47 seconds.
Oh.
We have a winner.
There's no
We have
problem.
a winner!
Maybe.
Susan Morgan,
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
evaluating Mr. Tim Rickey. He spoke for 3 minutes, 19 seconds.
Yay!
No more.
We do have a winner, just as in our club, if you go overtime, you get disqualified. You can't win. This will happen in the contest as well. You won't be eligible for second place or third place. You will just be disqualified.
And you won't know it.
And,
We
well,
still accidentally
there
announced
would be an announcement that there was a disqualification, but they don't name the person that was disqualified. You will know, though. I know you will know. Getting to some comments about the meeting. Really kudos to Gail to start out with, because not all the meetings are well planned. You know, the meetings are good, they happen, we get them done. But I know you spent time communicating with me. We had a nice conversation for about 2 hours last week.
Yeah.
I think it was the wine. But we got a lot done.
We did.
You know, your creativity inspires me, and your leadership to put this program together, because there had to be leadership for this to be as coordinated as it was. And there had to be a team. And each of you that had a role had a team, and some of you had some secret roles that some of the people don't know about yet. So thank you. So there really was a team effort going on here. One suggestion for you, Gail. One of the tables did not get agendas. It was the table I was sitting at, so I don't know how that happened, but I found them, and we distributed them. So ask for help. Don't stop asking for help. Ask for help up until the meeting starts.
I did.
Oh, you did? Well, okay. Who do we blame? A real positive that you gave corrections to the agenda. You secured a second speaker at the last meeting. I had a backup plan for you, which you knew about. You had your backup plan. We're full of backup plans here. Now, this happens in life, so this is a good example of how to be prepared. So this meeting really prepares you for your jobs, you know, for your everyday life, because things happen like this at the last minute all the time. Thank you also, Gail, for being very coachable. Whenever I shot my mouth off, she just took the cue and we went to the timer or whatever it was. What I would like to hear, though, in the future is the timer stepping in and saying, timer's report. That's part of what I see your responsibility is, and timing of the meeting. You know, so let's have other people speaking up. I'll coach you. I'll keep shouting it out to keep us on time, to get things done. But let's everybody start being responsible for the role that you have. Gail, you did a great job of managing time too, and that's one of the things I know you're working on. Michann, thank you for starting the meeting on time and managing the room setup and making the announcements, you know, about keeping everything clean, and remember to clean up afterwards as well. Mark and Julian, thank you for your unique approach to the functionary roles, and I'm going to call on you at this time to give your reports. So let's start with our odd counter, Julian C.
I was somewhat tenacious this evening and compassionate. Now, I did notice, and I'm going to add, at least in my repertoire, Madam General Evaluator, I'm going to add another bridge word, and that is but.
Sure.
And the queen of butts is Gail S. She can butt that thing. It's always that bridge word, but, and it's a bridge word. I realize that is your bridge word, but. Susan snuck it in there a couple of times. But, just want to bring that up, that but, when you use it a little too much, and in certain occasions, it's out of context, and you're just using it as a bridge word. So, this evening, so that the treasurer can, that was a good example, right?
Well planned, right?
Absolutely. Gail Hill Smith had one ah, one lip smack, and two ands, so's, and buts.
For a total of?
4.
40, okay.
Jorge didn't hear anything. He was squeaky clean. Stephen, squeaky clean. Tim Ricky, not a 1. Mickey D, 3 ahs and ums, 2 double clutches, and 2 bridge words. Now, part of the reason we say buts, ahs, and ums is because we fail to pause. Really, that's the key right there. Just pause, and then you won't say an ah and an um. Stephen Block. 2 ahs and ums. Toni Giddles, 3 ahs and ums and 1 bridge word. I had at least 1 ahs and ums, maybe more.
And a bridge word.
Huh?
And a bridge word.
And a bridge word, okay, so I'll put myself down for 2. And Susan Morgan, 1 ahs and ums. A couple of I think bridge words. See, that's another bridge word. I think. We know you think. If you didn't thunk it, you wouldn't say it.
Exactly.
It's redundant. Don't, you know, that's one of my pet peeves. Well, I think, well, duh. Have you ever said anything you didn't think? And that's not you, that's everybody.
No, I
You
know that.
everybody. It's like, I think, well, duh. Okay. Next time is Stephen thinks. Okay, but, 1 but, and 3 buts and tinks and whatever. So you're a total of 4.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Grammarian.
Yes, General Evaluator. I'm just finishing because I suffer from an affliction of the 5th P, which is procrastination. As far as the word of the day today, I'll just say who I didn't hear it from. I don't remember hearing it from Stephen Morgan, Michann, or Toni Giddles.
I didn't get there yet.
Okay.
I have 1 more piece of
Okay, to be determined. I have Gail listed, I think, 8 times, so she's the
I'll take one.
winner of the word of the day tonight. As far as colorful phrases and good or bad grammar usage, Gail said something, she said, in a heartbeat, and I just want to reflect. I've been married for 7 years, my wife grew up in the Philippines, and I just had to explain to her last week what in a heartbeat meant, because she had never heard that, and we heard it on the radio. So sometimes we just take for granted some of the use of the vocabulary that we use on an everyday basis. I just brought back some.
Cliches in the Philippines.
She also said hobbly, immaculate succinctity, and more comfortable in your skin. Julian Cotto, the best you that you can be. I would like to change my chest cavity and the queen of butts. Stephen Block, I'm blacking out and tip of the iceberg. I like those. Micki D, I was hoping when I became more experienced I wouldn't have to work so hard. And good catch on your use of the word spoking. Nice correction of that one earlier. Stephen Morgan, I liked your use of the word cool. It was very time period sensitive back then. And also, as Jonathan pointed out, I picked up on the nerdvana, which I liked, and also pariah. Michann, the most impossible task can be achieved. And you can let your mother know that if you added up all the grades I had in my 4 years of high school, they still wouldn't make 105%. So kudos to her. Toni Giddles, hack you off at both knees. I don't know why that stood out, but it stood out with me. Jonathan Dunn, intimate and introspective. And Susan Morgan, when asked if she would like to hear feedback on her evaluation, her answer was, whatever. That's it. Thank you very much.
I'm going to cut short because of time, but in the meantime, I'm going to ask you to vote for the most improved Toastmaster. It can be any of the Toastmasters in the room, and I'm also going to ask Lynn and Susan to do their secret work. So please vote for the most improved Toastmaster, and Steve will come around and select those from you. I'm going to go on with my evaluation. And it does involve Micki. Micki did self-correct a few times, but there's some things that we can learn from as far as how the meeting is run and how we can get the maximum participation from our members. First of all, most of you do not realize probably the work Micki did to present the handouts to you and do the educational moment. So I acknowledge Micki for staying up till 4 a.m. last night. No, oh, you did? Okay. But it did require a great deal of time, and she's been wanting to give this presentation for several weeks now. I would suggest, however, that you would have communicated your intent to do an educational moment with the Toastmaster, because you were introduced as the table topics master. So our listening was set up for table topics. It wasn't set up to get involved with you for the educational moment. And how your audience is listening is critical, and those introductions are critical. However, I really appreciate that you went through the DCP program and explained at least some of it to us. I'm sure the new members are still a little confused, but there'll be more on that in time. The handouts too, another thing that was distracting, you had wonderful handouts. This would have made a great speech too, which I know you were afraid to put it in a speech.
It would have been a successful club series, the Toastmasters educational program.
Right, and there is a speech, there is a scripted speech that you can give that will help us maybe learn more about it, so you may want to look into that. I get involved in handouts. I love handouts. I'm very visual, and it distracted me when you got into table topics. So that's why the order of the meeting and the agenda would be quite important. The other thing which you corrected to the group was your job is not to talk a lot. Your job is to be short, to the point, and get the members participating. So I would rather, however, see you up here talking than how it used to be, struggling to get you up here to talk. And the meeting, I believe, is going to finish on time, even though now I've used up all the extra time that we had. So I think we did an awesome job dealing with the topic of passion, practice, and persistence. But this party, where did the party come from? Because where was the party? So I would suggest we now have a little celebration and introduce the topic of partying. But I need Mark Lockery and Jonathan Dunn up here in order to do that. And Micki, come help me. All right, stand in front of the lectern and face the group. We don't get tired up here. I know Gail doesn't get tired of celebrating accomplishments. Jonathan, you are number one. We are setting the intention for you guys to come back with the #1 trophy. And Mark, humorous speech contest. We all think you're awesome. Come study that sash when you get home, because it's full of wonderful things that Lynn designed for you. Creativity put together. Let's give them one more.
Remember what Vince Lombardi said.
Yeah.
Winning
You're number
isn't everything, it's the only thing.
This is a first for our club that we have 2 people competing in the same weekend in the speech contest. I don't know if any other club has accomplished this, possibly so, but this is our club.
Yeah.
We did it. Let's finish the job. And Gail's got candles burning over there, and we've got homemade cupcakes. So go blow out those candles.
You can't blow out.
And at this, actually at this time, Jonathan, I'm going to turn the
Good, he can blow
meeting
out.
over.
Those are recyclers.
Yeah, I lost the
We do want you to hang out, enjoy the food, and continue the partying so we get 4 pieces.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. All right, let's get through these awards so we can go back there and eat some baked goods.
Yep, they do.
All right, we'll have to put them up.
No GMOs, I think, right?
Yes, no. The Tim Chastain Award winner this evening, drum roll please. Gail Hill Francis, Gladys, 73-year-old Smith.
Get your certificate.
They already made.
The most improved Toastmaster this evening goes to Micki Stephen was in second place somehow. The best table topics award winner this evening. I believe it's her very first win. Michann A. Best evaluator goes to Susan Francis Morgan.
Unanimous vote.
Yes, my dear.
Thank you. And our best speaker, are you smarter than a 5th grader? The meeting as adjourned.